This is the tragic story of June and Jennifer Gibbons, the most evil identical twin you have never heard about. June and Jennifer Gibbons were identical twins who were born on January 28, 1963, in the small British town of Pontypool. Despite being identical twins, they were very different. Jennifer was slightly taller than June and had red hair, while June had strawberry blonde hair. When they were young, the girls would communicate with each other by writing notes because they refused to speak. But their parents and teachers didn't know that. They thought the girls were mute. They would do things without anyone telling them to do them, and they would do them perfectly. For example, when their mother asked them to make dinner, both girls would automatically start chopping vegetables without any further instructions. They would run around the house like wild animals and jump on their beds while screaming. They were charged with arson, but were found not guilty by reason of insanity. They were then sent to a psychiatric hospital for treatment. But their condition continued to worsen. They became more violent and unpredictable and started to hurt themselves. At one point, they were both found covered in cuts and bruises, but they wouldn't tell anyone how they got hurt. It was obvious that they were in a lot of pain, but they wouldn't talk to anyone, said one of their doctors. It was too noisy and crowded and full of people. We liked being alone together. It was better that way. June was released from the hospital in 1996 and has since lived a quiet life away from the public eye. She still talks to this day, but she has never explained what exactly happened to her and her sister. They just sat in their beds and stared blankly ahead. Did they have a shared mental illness? Or was it something else entirely? We may never know the truth, but one thing is certain: these girls were truly evil, especially Jennifer. While June confessed to the murder, Jennifer got away with it, literally. They would also stare at people in a creepy way and laugh hysterically. Share your thoughts below. Which fact about these twins shocked you the most? If you want to watch another scary video, click here. Here they lived in a cottage and were allowed to roam the grounds freely. But their behavior continued to be erratic, and they would often run away from the hospital and stay out for days. I'm going to go now, but don't cry. You must live for both of us. I'll be with you always until we are old and gray. After Jennifer's death, June underwent a complete personality change. She began speaking normally and interacting with people as if nothing had happened. She also stopped writing in her diary and destroyed all of her notes. When they were found, they would be disoriented and confused and didn't seem to know where they were. One minute I was writing in my diary, and the next I was talking to the reporter. I didn't even realize I had stopped writing. It was just something I did every day. I didn't think it was a big deal, but it was a big deal because June had been mute for nearly 30 years, and then suddenly she just started talking. She also revealed that she and her sister had made a pact to kill each other. We had a deal. One of us had to die so the other could live. I don't know who made the pact first, but we both agreed to it. I think we felt like we owed each other that much. We were joined for life, so one of us dying would set us free. They looked at you as if they wanted to get inside your head, said one of their neighbors. She had been complaining of chest pains and difficulty breathing, but she had no history of heart problems. An autopsy revealed that she had died from inflammation of the heart, but there was no evidence of poisoning or other causes. Jennifer had been perfectly healthy one moment, and then suddenly her heart had exploded the next. The doctors were baffled, and so were the investigators. We couldn't figure out why she died suddenly, said Detective Inspector Roy German. There was no struggle and no signs of foul play. It was like she dropped dead out of nowhere. These behaviors became more intense as the years went by. The girls would often stay up all night playing with knives and other sharp objects. They would also walk along busy streets while staring into the abyss. They didn't seem to care about anything or anyone around them. They lived in their own little world. The girls would also write messages in chilling ways. Once they wrote, "Soon we will all be dead," on the classroom chalkboard during class. Another time they wrote, "I am your sister," on their arms. Their teachers had no idea what these messages meant, but they knew that something weird was going on with the girls. So they reported their concerns to the school psychologist. Because of their silence, teachers would call the twins ghosts, and their parents started to worry about their futures. They didn't seem to recognize him as a person at all. So the psychologist decided to try a different approach. He talked to them through their teacher, Mr. Phillips, and asked them to write down some information about themselves. The girls wrote, "We are best friends. We are twins. We don't like anyone." We are cleverer than others. We are frightened and unhappy. The psychologist then asked them why they were frightened and unhappy, to which they replied, because we don't have our sister. It seemed like the girls preferred communicating through writing rather than speaking. They only spoke to each other and no one else. This made it difficult for the school psychologist to figure out what was going on with them. But he eventually discovered that the girls had created their own language that they used to communicate with each other. This language was full of puns and wordplay, and almost impossible for outsiders to understand. It was clear the girls were creating a fantasy world of their own, where they were the only ones who mattered, said Mr. Phillips. I feared they would grow up with speaking problems, said their mother, Gloria. So I took them to see a specialist who told me they were deaf and there was nothing wrong with their hearing. He told me they weren't ill either. They were just very quiet. But these were the only differences between them. They shared the same interests, likes, and dislikes, and they were inseparable. Their parents described them as joined for life. They did everything together, from brushing their teeth to eating their dinner. And whenever one of them was happy, the other would be too, and vice versa. The Gibbons girls didn't just do everything together, they also looked alike, but their similarities ended there. But as the twins grew older, their silence turned into an eerie form of communication. They would write down things no one else could understand, and they started to develop strange behaviors. For example, they would always wear the same clothes and do everything in pairs, such as brushing their teeth or washing the dishes. If one twin went upstairs, the other would follow suit. If one of them was smiling, the other would immediately turn their head to face the person who made the other twin smile and smile as well. This mirroring behavior wasn't limited to facial expressions. The girls would often repeat each other's movements. They would eat the same food at the same time, sleep at the same time, and wake up at the same time. It was like having two people in one body, but there was more to their eerie behavior. When he tried to talk to the girls, they simply stared at him and refused to respond. As the girls grew older, their behavior became more disturbing. In 1981, the girls set fire to their family home. In 1984, the twins were transferred to Rampon Psychiatric Hospital in Essex, England. In 1991, Jennifer collapsed and died suddenly. Before her death, Jennifer had written, "It's time for me to die." In a later interview with the BBC, June said, "It was like a switch had been flipped." But what prompted them to make such a pact? According to June, they just didn't like living in the real world. To this day, the case of the Gibbons sisters remains unsolved. What exactly happened to them? Were they possessed by demons? Thanks for watching.